individual bondholder. But, Kojo, the most important part of this statement, what is the enhanced offer on the table?
Government says that in this regard, they want to make available some alternatives for you. Now, one of them is that all individual bondholders who are below the age of 59 years will be offered instrument with a maximum maturity of 5 years instead of 12 years and a 10% coupon rate. Again, all retirees, including those retiring in 2023, will be offered instrument with a maximum maturity of 5 years instead of 12 years and a 15% coupon rate.
So, below 59 years, you have a coupon of 10% and a maturity maximum of 5 years. If you are above 59 years, you have a coupon of 15% and you have a maximum maturity of 5 years. So that's what it is. That's the new offer on the table. But then, Kojo, what about the pension funds? We thought they've been completely exempted from this, but they are mentioned in this statement.
Yeah. Now, it says that discussions are being finalized with organized labor and pension fund trustees on a separate arrangement in accordance with the Memorandum of Understanding signed with organized labor on 22nd December 2022 and in line with government's debt management program. So it says, with this, government encourages all stakeholders to participate in the DTP. So the thing is that they signed a memorandum of understanding in December, and they are trying to, work on a separate arrangement in accordance with that MOU they signed in 2022.
It gives the impression that they are not exempted after all.
But if you go back to when we spoke to the Minister of Finance, and he made that critical point that those fine details are being worked with the organized labor. The same thing with the Ghana Association of Banks, same thing with the Ghana Insurance Association. So I think that it will be also good to get that final document that they will be offered to them on 2nd of February 2023, because negotiations were still going on despite these associations signing up to what you might call an MOU of giving a commitment to fully sign up to the program. So those were just headline, if I could use.
But that press conference, they announced a complete exemption, if I'm not mistaken.
The one with organized labor.
Yeah, there'll be their pensions. But what if organized labor is also holding some other instruments as well? What happened to that one as well? So it appears that.
Yeah, I mean, they're holding instruments. They're exempted. So
you
pay when they fall due.
Yeah, they fall due.
So that's how the question needs to be asked. This separate arrangement, what is it?
Yeah.
What is it?
In terms of how will the settlement be done, that is very critical as well.
Yeah, and John, very quickly before I get reactions from Martin Kwebu, who is joining me, and Dr. Edwin Anentry of the Individual Pensioners Bondholders Forum, the banks.
Yeah.
What do we know about why this extension became necessary?
Well, they are still getting the necessary administrative process in place, still getting the necessary approval, because don't forget that the earlier statement that Ghana Association of Banks signed with the intention to fully participate said that these individual banks are going to their boards, their shareholders, to engage them on the terms being offered. So maybe it appears that some of these banks came back and they had issues with some of the things that government offered. And that is why we are waiting for, again, what government is going to offer to them, as in the revised MOU on 2nd of February with respect to the coupon rate, the regulatory forbearance, the financial stabilization or stability fund. How would that be accessed and all the rest? We know that the Bank of Ghana, for instance, they would have a different arrangement for the banks. So, for instance, the insurance companies as well. How these regulatory forbearance...
But George, I read this statement again. It says the new terms of the action have been accepted by the Association of Banks.
Yeah.
The Ghana Insurance Association, the Ghana Securities Industry Association, and that a revised and final action memorandum will be released on Thursday, 2nd February.
So a new one has been accepted. Has that new one been published for us, all of us to have a look? I don't think so.
I get the impression that, remember that when each of them struck a deal, a statement was issued. And we're told 5% coupon instead of 0 this year, and then 10% over the period. Right? And in fact, that applied to almost all of them. I get the impression that those are the terms that we should see in this revised memo when it comes
Yeah,
out.
but those revised terms, Evans, it's critical that it should be captured in that memo.
Yes.
Have they gone behind to actually push for those terms to be reviewed? Because that is because we knew some banks, as at this
We're
afternoon,
still protesting
were still having issues and they were engaging their
with a
shareholders
5% coupon
and all
10%
those
over the
things.
time.
So
Okay.
it's still too early days. Yeah.
Okay, George, stay with me. Let me get quick reactions now to this major developing story today. Martin Kpebu represents the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana. Joins us on the telephone line right now. Hello, Martin.
Yes, hi, Evans.
Great
Good.
to have you. Great to have you. Also joining us right now is the former boss of the Securities and Exchange Commission. He leads the Individual Pensioners Bondholders Association, and that's Dr. Edu Ananienchi. Hello, Doc.
Yeah.
Grateful. Thanks for joining me. Martin,
Okay, well.
we are doing fantastic, sir. Martin, your reaction to this statement from the Finance Ministry?
Well, it's very perplexing, to say the least. Perplexing because, Evans, what is being offered, at least the summary that the finance minister has just given us, it's not better than the bonds that individual bondholders are currently holding. So because of that, it kind of beats my imagination why individual bondholders will say they will hand in their bonds in order to take these bonds, the new bonds, which are worse than the current bonds that the individual bondholders hold. You see, it's like you're holding something, like you're holding 10 cedis in your hand, and somebody is offering you 5 cedis. So bring your 10 cedis and take 5 cedis. Which rational human being would do that? So, so it tells you that maybe there's a certain game that is being played that we don't understand. We don't have the full facts. Maybe that's what it takes. Perhaps to help in the negotiations with the IMF, perhaps to make it better so that it will show that it was a long drawn engagement with individual bondholders, and then eventually it failed. Maybe, because trust me, Evans, when you see something like this that is obviously not good enough and yet is being offered to you, then it tells you that you should break and credit the person doing it with something that he knows that you don't know. Otherwise, it just won't make sense to us. So, simple message. Individual bondholders want to just hold on to their current bonds. Evans, you know what? Next month, February, just starting tomorrow, billions of the individual bonds, billions of the bonds are going to mature. So if billions are going to mature next month, and some people are going to get their last coupon payments and principal, such persons don't have an incentive to trade in their bonds for bonds that will mature in 5 years and at a coupon of 10%. When the person is currently getting 19.5% or 20%, he won't trade it in for 10% over 5 years. When his, bond is going to mature next month, and he's going to get principal plus coupon. You see, so, and for other reasons, also people's confidence in the system has been badly shaken. So right now, the sentiment, a lot of them are just saying, look, I just want my bond to mature and let me get hold of the money. Then I'll decide. So people want to take their money, whether they're going to put it under their bed or wherever, but they want to get hold of their principal. They don't want any further delay.
So, but Martin, stay with me. So I get clarity on what you're saying, that you take the finance minister on his first bulleted statement that, quote, an affirmation that all individual bondholders are free not to participate. You are taking him on that offer.
Yes, and also, Evan, to put further context, he clearly stated in yesterday's communication, there was an interview graphic where he said more clearly that government will honor the existing bonds. Government will honor the existing bonds. That's a clearer statement and more assuring than it's not, compulsory to participate. It is voluntary. No. You see that the statement that government will honor the existing bonds is far more assuring and clearer, better communication than the one that says that it is voluntary.
Martin, stay with me. Dr. Edwin Anentry, your reaction for yourself and your members?
Well, we have gotten the news. that doesn't meet what we are requesting. We are requesting for an exemption from the program, and we will continue to do the engagement to get to where we want to be.
So you are being offered a 15% coupon with a maximum maturity of 5 years. You say this is not good enough.
Yeah, that's not what we have asked for. We've asked for an exemption from the program, given our peculiar circumstances.
Do I get a sense that you are asking your members to still reject the domestic election program as it is now, even in these new terms?
Well, I think we had a meeting. Let me say, I was told this is the offer that was going to be made, and I have to discuss with the pensioners and see whether it is acceptable to us. After we have had a meeting, we have to vote on it. By the time we finish the voting, I think the message has even either come out that I didn't know or was almost coming out. And the members have decided that we were not going to accept that, and that they have affirmed their request for their petition for a total exemption from the program.
The word exemption has been used quite often. If you take the point A, where the finance minister says affirmation that all individual bondholders are free not to participate, would you say you will exercise that right instead of demanding for an exemption?
Well, from where I'm coming from and what I know in the securities market or the financial market, opting out on your own is not the same as having been given an exemption.
Can you please explain the difference?
The difference is that if I exempt you, I have promised you that you are going to be taken care of as on the regular basis, despite the fact that I'm having some challenges. If I go out, I have decided that in spite of the challenges that you have made known to me, I'm still opting out. And then I'm hoping that you'll be able to pay me my coupons as is by the terms of the bond agreement, as stated in the bond agreement. You will be able to pay me. So that's the difference.
So just for clarity, and this is important because there are many whose livelihoods is hanging on this. You're saying that if you don't get a categorical explicit exemption, then you risk default, even when you hold on to your old bonds.
Yes, that everybody must know. If the creditor has come out to say, I am impaired, my how I'm making money is impaired, and therefore I cannot be honoring my coupons and my principals. As a result, I'm restructuring. Then it has already told you that there may be challenges going forward in honoring those obligations that he has to honor. He can't say he won't honor. He will honor, but there will be challenges honoring it.
So what you're asking for now, you want certainty and a written commitment from the finance ministry or government to say you are exempted and you'll be paid.
Yes, if I'm exempted, then I know in terms of your planning, as for these bonds that are held by these pensioners, it's not part of what I'm restructuring. And so you make provision to meet the obligation under those bonds. And that is what the exemption will mean.
Martin, you're listening to this, and Dr. Duane Onentwi is a giant in the industry. What do you say to that?
Evans, for us now, he is a giant in the industry, so I may not be able to contradict what he's saying. But I want to repeat this side, at least with the general knowledge of law, and also from the little that I've learned from this process. Now, A contract is a contract. You have an existing contract. Some of the bonds are maturing next month, like what I said, billions. Government has said it's going to pay you. And Evans, critically, we have a budget where we are estimating to spend 227 billion. What are we saying? That government can say, I don't have money to pay you, totally about 15 billion. Yet the projects and all those things that have been earmarked for 227 billion will be going on. No. So that's how come, though Doc is doing the fine theoretical distinction, for us practically, the firm and public assurance by the finance minister that government will honor for now is good to go. Practically is good. Because, look, it's the same. Government has given the firm public assurance that it will honor the bonds. That's it. So how can government come out and say, I've defaulted on your bonds? Meanwhile, the 227 billion we say we'll spend, everything will be going on. As we are talking now, look, Evans, that bond is get fund. It's going to be funded by, well, it's always been funded by the 2.5% tax that we take for the get fund. The ESLA bond is also taxes on petroleum. So every day you buy petrol, diesel, we are paying the tax. So where will government come from to come and say, I want to default? And also don't forget, if government theoretically were to default on the old bonds, that you hear the experts talk about cross default, it will just damage the whole system. The current bonds will also be damaged because the reputation will be gone. So practically for now, look, we don't think we are disturbed by the lack of the use of the word exempt. No, practically I don't think we are. If it were that government could hide its finances, we don't know about the budget. So let's say, Evans, right now, if I were to sue you for $1 million, you can hide your assets very well. Even a private investigator cannot find, depending on where you hide your assets. But for government, its assets are known, and the budget is a public document. So for now, it appears with this distinction between, exempt and just being assured that government will honor the coupons. It's more theoretical. Yes, it's more theoretical.
Going forward from now, we now have, 7 more days. Are there any more engagements planned?
Well, not now. As of now, nothing has been stated. What it is that the finance minister reached out to us this afternoon to inform us. Yes, so that's by way of information. Maybe we can think through and see if we want to engage him further, not to negotiate his terms, but maybe anything. You never know. Just in the event that in these next 7 days, maybe some things are being said that will jeopardize the firm commitment. Number one, even last Saturday when we issued the statement, we stated clearly that we wanted him to write to us that government will honor the bonds. That official communication has not come to us, but at least half a loaf is better than none because he's communicated it to Daily Graphic and they've done a publication on it. Yesterday's Daily Graphic, it's in there. Do you see it? So maybe we can decide to engage in further to get a specific communication address to us or something else. And if any other thing comes up that seeks to jeopardize the firm commitment, we can go and engage him. Just like he himself reached out to engage us today, not like through his subordinates. No, he himself picked the phone to engage us. That's what he did. So why not? We can go and engage him if need be.
Dr. Edu, are you looking to sit down for one more, attempt at this, crack at this with the finance minister?
Yeah, we have submitted our response that the pensioners were unable to accept what he is proposing, and so we are waiting to see what he would say. And we have affirmed our thing that we want an exemption.
And you want this written for you by the finance minister, assuring
yes,
you that?
if it's exempt, that will be fine. Then we know we're exempted.
I mean, Doc, just before you go briefly, considering that even the pension funds, there was a press conference, there was a there was the employment minister, the finance minister, everybody else, and they said we're exempting you. Now you see the statement. They are talking about coming to sit down again with them to give them a separate arrangement. It almost suggests that even with that prior commitment to exempt, which was publicly announced, it isn't an exemption after all. I mean, I don't know whether that, gives you any room for comfort or more concern going into this possible conversation to try and get that exemption. Hello, Doc. Okay, we appear to have lost him there. But thank you very much, Martin. Grateful that you joined us with your thoughts on this. George, I want to read this a quote from the Daily Graphic. Martin referred to this, and this is a direct quote from the Daily Graphic after the interview with the Finance Minister. Let me emphasize again that the DDEP, the Domestic Detention Program, is purely voluntary, and there will be no punitive action against any individual who decides not to participate. Individuals who sign up for the new bonds will have more certainty even in the changing economic landscape. That last line, will have more certainty, almost suggesting that if you're holding on to your old bonds, then you're not as certain.
I think that Evans,
I
think that Evans, the backstops as the new memorandum or the revised document that they're going to offer. You want to see that.
Because that's a legal binding document.
Yeah, for some level of uncertainty, because the ifs and the buts is still not good enough. And as I was trying to explain earlier on, maybe you want to engage your independent financial advisors, investment advisors, your relationship managers on the next line of action, because this is something that you're committing to for the rest of your year. Are you better off not signing to this program, or you are better off signing to this program to have a more bigger opportunity to negotiate for something good? So what is going to be on the table at the end of the day? The text, the written document.
Yeah.
That I can hold government next by.
Yeah.
As said, now you don't want to work with any commitment. I'm going to do this. Okay, let it go into a
let's see what
document,
the memorandum
the
says
text,
on
and then
Thursday.
I will sign up to it.
I want to bring in Professor Godfred Bokping, who joins us on the telephone line right now. Prof, thanks for your time here on Top Story.
Yes, good evening, Evans. Good evening to your cherished listeners, especially individual bondholders.
and good evening, Professor Bokping.
And Prof, I mean, fascinating times indeed. You've seen the new offer on the table. If you're an individual bondholder, should you be accepting this offer or holding on to your old bonds?
I will not accept. I will not accept. To the extent that this is a hypothetical question, but maybe it's also a reflection of reality, because I actually don't have a CD in bond. Okay. So let me make that.
I like that honesty.
I don't have a CD in bond, so my comments are not driven by my personal interest. Evans, we are talking about a borrower here, a debtor, whose lifestyle has led him or her to a perceived default position. And instead of the borrower adjusting his lifestyle to enable him pay, he rather wants the lender to rather adjust his lifestyle so that he will be able to pay whilst maintaining his lifestyle. That is difficult for a creditor to take. This is the moral hazard. This is the moral deficit issue here, which makes it difficult to go along with government. But Evans, look at it also from this perspective. Hello?
Yes, Prof.
Assuming government comes out tomorrow morning to say that individual bondholders are exempted, what will happen to individual bondholders with Eurobonds? What will happen to individual bondholders even within the domestic market, offshore investors? Would that same exemption apply to them? That is a bit of a complex situation that the minister finds himself in, right, in terms of how you look at the whole dynamic and the implications of certain commitments you make now in terms of fairness within the creditor type. But of course, as you can see, with the divide and rule approach that the government has adopted, the focus is not so much about fairness within creditor type, because you can see that pensioners are being offered a different terms. Those below 59 are being offered a different terms. Probably the basis of differentiation may be looked at in terms of the extent of vulnerability. But then again, if you look at the statement, it appears that pensions will be offered a different arrangement or so. And then in that case, with that same differentiation and vulnerability, perhaps we could make some different approach with respect to Eurobond individual bond holders or institutional holders. Yes, but Evans, you know, there's a lot that government is holding to its chest, in which case it's a bit difficult trying to look at the end game from the variables that we are talking about here in terms of the different creditors. And because government hasn't been transparent and there isn't full disclosure, even when we are in a situation where greater transparency will likely get people onto the table. So, because government is not open in terms of looking at a fair adjustment between fiscal, structural, and then debt restructuring. And therefore, to the extent that government can preserve their lifestyle and what they want to do, and essentially what is happening right now is a clear case of government prioritizing what they think is of utmost importance to them relative to what creditors prioritize in their spending or how they manage their finances. Because if you look at what the technical committee puts out there in terms of expenditure cut and avenues for revenue enhancement, I think that should have probably moderated the posture of the finance minister in announcing further invitations.
And to think that in this latest letter, there's not even a reference
Yes.
to that document, although they
it's
sat for a
as
week.
though, you know what, we have seen what we have done, but we're careless. We are in charge. We will do what we want to do and all of that. And I think we cannot build a nation like that.
Okay. Prof, thank you very much for your initial thoughts. I say initial because Prof will be joining us on PM Express to deal with this. He says if he held bonds as an individual, he will not accept this offer, this enhanced offer that the finance minister has made. He would expand on his reasons if you join us at 9 p.m. on Joy News for PM Express.